You said this week when I saw you, you went, "It was weird putting trousers on this week. I had to go to a meeting."
Yeah.
That's like your legend. You just turn up like that. Be all right. Isn't it weird, isn't it? That's you, isn't it? It's what you do. It's you.
Yeah.
Why put a pair of trousers on just for a meeting? I mean, it was weird. It was a fairly important meeting, wasn't it? It was like a worky meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think that's why I did it.
If you go to see the bank manager, you wear some trousers. Is that
the bank manager was at the
That's
meeting.
what I mean. That's what I said it.
So, yeah, you do, don't you?
I think so. But do you think he would have judged you any differently if you walked in like that?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
I think we got the result you went in for.
Well, the guy that chaired the meeting did a very long introduction to how he used to be on the parole board and said, however, I'm no longer on the parole board now. I'm now doing investigations into police corruption. And once you've done that as an introduction, you've set your stall out, haven't you? The guy on the other end is like...
Yeah, if you hadn't got trousers on, you probably would have...
Yeah, and I'd gone, I do a bit quickly. Of PT, and you might have heard my podcast. I used to shoplift.
Yeah.
Take me seriously,
I've been in prisons, but not like that.
Yeah. By the skin of my teeth, Governor.
Hello and welcome to episode 74 of I'm Fine, a chat between myself, Damo, and someone who goes by the name bestowed on him by his parents at such a tender age, a name given to him so young that by the time he realised that he had a name, and that other people had been given different names to him, it was all too late to change it. People had got used to it, it had stuck, and that name was Mark. I thought about that this morning. That's like, we don't really get a chance to kind of decide our names, do we?
I think people... Oh, children are more and more now, aren't they?
Oh, well, you just don't give them one until they
no,
make
like
their own minds up.
The whole gender thing, isn't it? There are groups of people now where the child has...
Oh, you just let them decide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the name... Oh, someone at the door.
Someone at the door. Probably sound like Pink Windmill and Rod Hull. Should I go and get it? Hold on.
Yeah, quick.
That's exciting.
Yeah. This might be content. God, this is like living in the ghetto here, seriously. There's about 3 of them at the door. Baseball bats, masks. I don't know what Damo's done. Okay, he's got his package. Is that gear? Is that the mushrooms?
Yeah.
I've got a good story about people knocking at the door.
Have you?
Yeah, just remembered it.
Bookmark that.
You just...
It was the postman. I heard you talking. I thought, what are you talking? You're obviously doing a commentary.
Does he always ring twice?
Yeah. It does. I did get that.
Okay. I've done that one once before,
yeah,
I think.
But it was good, so why not do it
Best
again?
sex scene involving a kitchen table.
I've heard of it, I've not. Is it a book?
Yeah, I think so. And a film.
A film.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's in your package?
So to see. Well, I did. Yeah. It should be my magic mushrooms. Mushrooms are us. Or the one in Birmingham is mushrooms and we.
Okay.
I'm just doing this, not even thinking about what I might have ordered and what I could be opening up in front of you. Oh, I forgot. Oh, it's one of those things where you just order something.
Oh, I thought it was actually going to be honey when I saw the label.
Honey?
Yeah, well, it's got Love Honey on the label. And I thought you...
Very good. No. Do you know when you kind of got the...
Rabbit. Yeah.
Run.
So what you got?
Well, it's one of those things I want to keep quiet, Mark.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. But you know, you get ads on Instagram. I know you're familiar with getting ads on Instagram. Sometimes you look at them and go...
I do need that in my life.
Yeah. But you go, it doesn't look legit. They look like they've just started up 5 minutes ago, and it might just be a complete rip-off. I give those a punt.
Yeah.
And it's turned up. Crap.
Well, in the next pod, you can tell us if it does add 3 inches. Or double it.
It's. I should keep this quiet to watch.
Oh,
don't tell anyone.
Got lots of watches.
I know I have. I've got another one. That looks nice, right?
Let's have a look.
That's weighty. I didn't think it was going to turn up. For the price.
How much was that?
I have a guess.
Well, you see, this is one of those things, isn't it?
What? A guess, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like when you're guessing ages. So you've obviously think this is a bargain. So if I go, I don't know, 18 quid, you're going to go, fuck off. It's like, so I'm going to go 3.5 grand.
No, that'd be stupid.
Okay.
You're right with your first guess.
No.
I think it's about $35, something like that.
But it's like, that's a proper leather
It's legit,
strap,
isn't it? It's
isn't
weighty.
it? It's working.
I couldn't build one for 35 quid, could you?
No.
No, exactly. It's one of those things I thought, God, I'll give it a go for 35
It
quid.
looks good. You
Does,
could
doesn't it,
resell that.
Yeah, for 40. It's all right, isn't it?
Oh, well done.
Thank you, Mark. Well done. Anyway, where was I? Oh, this is a long intro. I was trying to keep it tight today.
Knocking at the door.
Yeah, we've done that bit.
Yeah, so I was going to tell you my interesting story.
Oh, okay.
I think stop me if I've told you that. I might have told you this one before.
Go on.
So I got a job. I answered an ad for a hamburger salesman. Why am I saying hamburger? Beef burger? Hamburger?
I don't know. Maybe it's a hamburger sales.
Fast food outlet. So I answered an advert. So I rang the guy up and said, yeah, I'd like the job. And he said, fine, you've got it. You can start tonight. That was the interview.
Right, great. Yeah. You can see what kind of establishment this is.
Yeah, went along to his house. And I've said about me selling the hot dogs and hamburgers before from a van in boiling water. We've mentioned this.
Well, the van was in boiling water.
Yeah. Oh, there's a joke there.
No.
I'm only going to get it tomorrow.
No, I've done the joke. You go,
okay,
haha, move on.
Yeah, but I got to better it. So I went to his house, and it was we had to prepare the rolls. He bought the rolls basically on the end of their sell-by date, so we had to sort of
get him done quick.
Well, sort of scrape them a little bit and just make them look sort of...
All the signs are adding up here, Mark.
Yeah. So we loaded this van up. Well, when I say a van, we loaded a trolley. So the whole unit was a trolley that you pushed.
Oh, like your classic hot dog hamburger stand.
Vendor. Yeah.
Do you have a little umbrella on the top, like a little parasol?
No, because my shift was like 11 at night till 4 in the morning, and it was less sunny in those times. So it's before global warming. And... So we put it on the back of a trailer. He took us down into town and we had our pictures. Yeah. So you basically cooked the burgers in boiling water, which is horrible when you think about it.
Yeah.
Got them out. You had your onions on a little griddle on the top, shoved them in the mouldy roll and sold them. So that was my job. Second time I went, we did the same time. Third time we went, I got there early. He wasn't there, and his wife was there. And she said, "Oh, he's out at the moment. He's got a bit of problems with transport."
I was going to say food poisoning for a minute.
Yeah. And so anyway, we sat in his hallway, and I said, "Do you collect mice and gerbils?" Because there was a fish
all
tank.
over the floor.
No, a large fish tank, really, really large fish tank, and it must have. I would say it probably had about 12 or 14 mice and gerbils running around in it.
Okay.
And she said, "Oh, no, that's the snake."
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "We feed the live gerbils and mice to the snake." The snake was dead. That's why there was so many mice and gerbils. The snake was lying there as just...
I was going to say, they don't just let them run around, do they?
No, it isn't like they're going to keep them as pets as a while and then eat one.
Yeah, I like that one. I'll eat that one, keep that one.
So the snake was dead. Anyway, they had a lot, but that's by the by. Anyway... The husband then came back. We started on the rolls. There was a hammering at the door, and he went, under the bed, and there was 2 other vendors.
Oh, my God.
So the 3 of us and his wife and him jumped under this double bed. Oh. Sounds like some sort of Ealing farce, doesn't it? So under the bed, it was the police.
I thought it was Ronald McDonald.
Copyright infringement. And so it was the police going basically, "Open up."
Oh, my God.
We all kept very quiet. The police went away. And I said, "What's up?" And he said, "I'm not going to be able to take you downtown today on the trailer. You're going to have to push your trolleys."
Right.
This is like a 2-mile push at 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
You're going to have to push your trolleys because I can't take you down. And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Oh, we've had a bit of trouble with the transport." And I said, "What's the problem?" And he went, "Oh, I might as well tell you." He said,
"Yeah."
He said, "I had some problems. I didn't have a car." So he said, "I went and stole a car."
Right.
So that I could put the trailer on it and take you guys down. So it was only to help the business.
Yeah, of course. It sounds
But
legit.
I'm sure I've said this. He stole the car from, I think it was a Vauxhall dealer, at night.
What, for forecourt?
I didn't know exactly where it was placed at the time.
Just try to paint the picture.
Yeah. I don't think it was. I think it was inside. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Got home and realised that he had sold the sponsorship car for a First Division football player.
Oh, it was ready for them, right?
Yeah,
they were going to use.
Yeah.
Didn't have their name on the side of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
so this was when Bristol City got into the First Division, and literally there's this bright red Vauxhall sports car
with the logo on and this player's name on it.
Like Vauxhall Motors, proud to support And I know his surname was Mabbott, and one Mabbott played for Rovers and one for City. I can't remember which it was.
Wasn't Gary Mabbott?
Yeah, Gary Mabbott.
Yeah,
so,
he played Tottenham as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Or was he the one that played for Rovers? Anyway, it was one of them.
Yeah.
So anyway, it had it emblazoned, and he parked it outside the house.
Wonderful.
And obviously realised...
It was dark. Well, he probably couldn't see what was on the side of it, right? He just took a car.
Yeah, he should have paid more attention, or someone got it for him. So obviously the police are looking for this stolen car. He parks it outside his house. So, yeah.
That's
that was
wonderful.
when any knock on the door now, I just think...
Do you just think that?
That's why I went under the bed.
I was going to, we're downstairs. I wonder why he ran up. I was like, what's he doing?
Force of habit.
Just
I'm having
reflex, isn't
therapy
it?
for it. It's all right.
It's fine. Oh, good grief. We're still in the intro, believe it or not. This is a chat around the subjects of health, wealth, well-being, fitness, sport, politics, technology, and much, much more, as you've just been witness to. We're all work in progress, and this podcast is no exception. In short, it's a poke at our perfectly imperfect lives, and if we can make just one person feel like they're not alone in all this,
Madness.
then our work here is done. Make sure you subscribe to us in your podcast app of choice, and please give us a rating on Apple Podcasts. That'd be very good of you. Follow us on the socials, search for I'm Finecast, and get in touch with us via email on imfinecast@gmail.com. Coming up, got a couple of bookmarks. Work-life ballet, we're looking at the overwhelm. We'll come to this a little bit. This will build out as this pod goes on, but we're overwhelmed, aren't we? Mm-hmm. And it's getting to us, isn't it? So how can we start to do something about it? Pointing his pen in a threatening manner. So we'll talk about that, and we'll also explain why we're a little bit late on getting this out. And I will cover off the magic mushrooms in brain food. I promise you.
I'm a little bit worried at the pen because our fragrant friend Dean had his AirPod stolen from the gym.
His AirPod? Was that the ear?
The
ear.
Yeah.
Well, just one of them?
No, both.
Okay.
And I think I always find that you go to a gym and you instantly trust everyone in the gym because you're all the same, aren't you? You're lifting. And no, it isn't.
No.
Yeah.
You shouldn't trust it.
No.
Also, those things are really expensive.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Just be careful with your stuff. Sorry, you're sweating all over. Just get some crappy headphones, right? Just
why
get
would you put up with second best?
Because you're in the gym sweating your arse off.
It's like saving your cutlery for best. And that's our best
cutlery.
What's wrong
with that? Yeah, we've got best cutlery. It's in the drawer. We never use it.
Yeah.
There's nothing ever good enough to get it out for.
Well, we've had this before when you're ranking underwear, and I know we're going to come into bras later. No. We're going to cover bras later.
Oh, hello, new listeners.
This is so much different from the one that we've not done.
I think we'll come to that. We might just roll that one out.
Yin and yang.
This might not be any better.
What were we talking about?
No,
not that. Oh, yeah, keeping things for best. And we've talked about this with underwear, haven't they? It's like, those are my best.
We're talking about your best pants. Yeah, you were talking about your pants this week.
Yeah, but they should all be best. Mine at the moment are all rag and
bone.
But you shouldn't have. There's no point. Life is too short.
Stop shoulding.
No, yeah, that's true. Okay, I do not understand why you would have.
Maybe that's the only thing we should about.
What?
Quality of your underwear. Yeah. I mean, someone's saying, if you can't get that right, you're in trouble, right? It's the first thing that goes on, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it right, everything else will follow.
You're setting the tone, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mark, you are looking vibrant and plucky today. I wrote this earlier, but it's actually true. You are. Like you found a way to reverse the aging process. If you have, then don't keep the secret all to yourself. Share with us.
I think
you do. You're looking good. You're looking kind of
bit of sun yesterday.
Maybe if I had a shave. Maybe that's what it is.
In the sun, I think sun helps.
Yeah. Do you take collagen?
Yep. That's why my skin is like a baby's.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Collagen's underrated, I think.
You look about 8. It's unbelievable.
Act about fucking 8. I had a discussion today about how fucking has become fucking has become so commonplace now.
Can we just keep
to the menu?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a bit strong.
No, it has though.
I'm all for a bad word, but it's made me feel uncomfortable.
I said to this client today, we don't use the C word because of your mum.
We should.
You did in the last one, the one that isn't going to go out. You used it. You were.
Did I?
C-bombing, yeah.
C-bombing, was I heck? I haven't listened back. I can't listen back to it.
No. Well, it's just a tirade of C's.
Right. So what's new with you, Mark? What's new?
Guess I'm not in the depth of despair, so that's nice.
That's good.
It's only temporary. Obviously, I'll be back there soon, but...
Yeah. You just wait an hour or so?
I'll try and get through this. Yeah, I'm training again, and that's making a difference, I think. I don't think any elements of my life are any more particularly sorted or
But it's a bit like the pants. Is that like get that bit right? We're going to come to this, aren't we? Just focus, looking at the things that bring you joy and are you from an even identity point of view. So it's the stuff that's in our fibre, isn't it? We'll definitely come to it.
Yeah.
You kind of go, no, that is me. That's what I've always done or always liked to do. A bit like the pants. Just do that. Maybe just concentrate on that one thing.
That is a really interesting
amongst
thing,
all the
but
the baseline. If you're going to do one thing and it's the first thing, just do that. It's like, again, there's lots of things we're going to come to, but talking to the guys at work about new kind of strategies and offering positioning stuff going forward. But I also talk about building right, but first you've got to stop right.
Mm-hmm.
Just have that.
Yeah.
And then the first thing you then do is the right step or the best step that you could take in that particular moment in time. We might even touch on some wabi-sabi. It's not always going to be perfect, but you've just given yourself that little bit of a breather to kind of go, no, that is what I like. That is what I love doing. And I'm going to do that because it brings me happiness. Everything else can just
going back to putting the pants on. This is like a light bulb moment.
Are your pants so bad that it's almost like you're not wearing any? Like there's just like a band and there's nothing else. You're just wearing like an elasticated belt and nothing else. So you're basically commando under those shorts, right?
It's basically a thong, but that's not because it started as a thong. That's all that's left.
Yeah.
No, the point about the pants is a really, really valid one because I'm just thinking, you're right, it's the first thing you put on. And even, I'm very conscious of my, that I rank things and I judge things and I, whatever. Mm. But even people that aren't as pronounced in their thoughts around those elements are still going to, if you're putting your pants on, there is going to be a thought process. There is going to be the texture of them. There's going to be the feeling of how they look and how they make you feel.
I don't think there is. That's probably what we're saying.
Subconsciously, I think there is.
Yeah, but maybe that's the thing we need to do. And like most mindfulness, just maybe have a little stop and a think about that.
But just think of this. One of the things that if someone is getting married, I would bet £1 to a penny.
Oh, yeah.
That the bride would go, oh, I'm going to choose special underwear for my wedding.
I imagine they wouldn't have been worn before.
Yes.
Not going to get
and they will be special and they will make you feel special because you're not going to get
your big granny pants on, are you?
No. I guess what I'm saying is why, if on a special day you would make that effort, does that mean you have to be mundane on a mundane day? It doesn't.
No.
If silk French knickers make you feel good when you're getting married.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. Then
come on, spill the beans.
On a dull Tuesday morning, they would have the same effect.
You're right. So we're not saying I have a box fresh pair of pants every morning, are we? No. We're not. We're not. No.
I'd say have one for the week.
We're not.
Wash them. Come again.
Will you stop this?
Carry on.
Right. I'm getting my motorbike license, Mark, as you know.
Mm-hmm. How'd you do in the theory test, Damien?
I passed it. I scraped it, to be fair. I did lots of revision.
47 out of 50 I got, Mark.
What?
In your test?
In my test, yeah.
What did you get in the real test?
I got 43.
Was it because of the pressure?
I don't know. A pass is a pass. I'm happy with that. It doesn't tell...
You get distinction.
You want to go for it again, don't you?
Yeah.
You've probably never done how to do a theory.
No.
You got your bike license, but you don't.
Yeah.
There's just some of those questions you like. There's multiple choice. There's 4 questions, and 2 of them you're like, well, it could be either of those.
Yeah.
Then you pick the one that you think is going to be the proper rule book answer.
Yeah.
They're both valid, but you're in that kind of, and it's not always down to the highway code actually, because a lot of the stuff on the test I've done, I've answered it, got it wrong on the test, looked at the highway code, and it's gone, well, it's right. So like a lot of these tests, you need to practice to learn the kind of answers and the ways to answer these things to pass the test.
Okay, so it's not always 100% factual. It's
when you go out in the real world. For example, when you get to a crossroads and you're turning right in the car or bike or whatever, right? How do you turn past the car that's coming opposite you? You would go...
Well, after it.
well, not into it.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? If someone else is turning right and you're turning right, you normally go passenger side to passenger side, don't you? That's pretty much what everybody does.
I don't even know what you're saying.
You're in your car.
Yeah.
Open your eyes. In the car.
No, I'm going to do it with my eyes shut.
Oh, right. It's just so you can...
Yeah, go on.
Up to a crossroads. You're turning right.
I'm really struggling with a crossroads. Yeah, okay.
Jesus Christ.
No, I'm just
Have you got your license? How long have you been driving?
I've not got the eyes open license.
I imagine... You passed the feel test, not the telepathy test.
This is your sensory.
Extrasensory perception.
Where do you reckon
test.
you are in the road?
Just put my arm out. If I can feel the verge, I'm all right. crossroads.
Yeah.
You're turning right.
Yes, got you.
The traffic coming the opposite way. There's all
Coming towards you.
Yeah, it's opposite.
Yeah. Okay.
They're also turning right.
Oh, yeah, I've got
Okay.
you. I've got you. Yeah.
Do you pass them, I guess, offside to offside or near side to near side? I would argue every one of us goes passenger side to passenger side.
I can't,
rather than driver
I
to
just can't
driver and
picture any
go
of this.
around the back. Okay, let's
Move
forget
on. I physically
I was
can't.
getting stressed out. I was in a good mood.
I don't even know what you're saying. Seriously.
Anyway,
Bring a model next time.
in the test I answered what we all do every day,
Mm.
and it was classed as wrong. But I checked the highway code. You can do both. So there's all these kind of... Anyway, I passed. Doesn't matter. Got my CBT on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So hopefully...
What does CPT stand for?
Compulsory basic training.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully by this time next week I'll be on my motorbike. Proper midlife crisis.
Yeah.
We've talked about how this world is complex, haven't we, Mark, on many occasions. And I recently accompanied my wife to M&S where she was shopping for some bras, as you've already
alluded to.
delicately mentioned already. Complex and confusion isn't the word, quite frankly. There's calculators and algorithms and Pythagoras, all sorts of things that women need to buy a bra successfully. I had no idea. It's not. It's something should be done about it.
What? Because it's too complicated.
Yeah, like massively complicated. And then if people have to accompany other people while they're shopping, as I did, and got a bit bored, that's quite a long time to stand around. Anyway, I'm in the business of advertising and design, as you know. Advertising is omnipresent in our lives, isn't it? It's everywhere.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for defining what omnipresent means, because, that's good.
Oh, fuck off. And you can't avoid it, can you?
No.
So I do like to look into it probably a little bit more. It's a bit like you. You see stuff and you kind of overthink. Right? I see advertising and properly rip it. So whilst Mrs. C was sitting her PhD in bra sizing, I thought I'd take a walk to the men's department.
Okay.
Right. And as I was in M&S, I quickly found myself amongst the Farrah trousers and elasticated waistband trousers.
Yeah.
And I'm interested. I'm at that age.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Comfort over.
Yeah.
Comfort
Absolutely.
over style.
There's a little bit where I know my size, but if you go for your size, again, a little bit like the bras, they're different cuts, aren't they?
Yeah.
So if you can have something that's roughly sized, but there's a bit of give in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm all that. We go out for a bit nice meal.
Yeah.
You want a bit of give, don't you, without taking undoing your button, right? You know what I'm saying, right?
No. I would rather be shot than buy anything from M&S.
Anyway, I was in the suit section. There was a sign that said this.
Okay.
Groom goes free. Buy 3 suits and get the 4th suit free. Well, I immediately thought this is a wedding related.
Yeah.
Because
or someone looking after horses.
Yes, hadn't thought of that. That was a good point. Yeah, they didn't specify.
No.
Do you wear suits when you're looking after horses?
Imagine going in with 4 large Shire horses. 3 of your mates.
Come on, lads.
Could be suit of armour.
Yeah, it could. Okay, groom goes free, buy 3 suits and get the 4th free.
Yeah.
That is making a massive assumption that the 4th person is the groom. I would immediately thought the first person would be the groom.
So he'd have to pay, and it would be the least popular of his 3 friends who gets the free suit.
Yeah,
God, that's wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd be well upset with that. How do you prove that you're the 4th one to get it free?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They need to rethink these kind of things.
Yeah.
It's just lazy writing, isn't it? I just wanted to cover this, but also flag it's one of the subjects that we cover often, this kind of thing. We typically cover it, and undoubtedly we'll get our asses in a twist about it. We'll come on to this in a minute. But something we'll touch on in Work-Life Ballet shortly. But there's reports about NHS data. And I think I said to you this week, I turned on the news and there's a person on there saying the NHS are about to sell your health data. This is on the BBC 5 Live. And you've got till the end of, I think, like next month or September.
Yeah, end of June, I think. Yeah.
To opt out if you want. Otherwise, it's an automatic opt-in and your data will be sold to the highest bidder, right? That sounds quite daunting. There's a person on there, a doctor, kind of going, no, it's not. We've been using people's data for research and all sorts of things for years and years and years, so nothing to worry about. So I went on and had a little look. So midweek, before we did the other pod
that can't be mentioned.
And went onto the NHS website, and there's lots of myth busting, debunking.
Yeah,
there is no end date to opt out. You can opt out anytime. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, phew.
Yes, but I went there last night.
Yeah,
different computer just for all the nerds out there.
Yeah,
clear your cache, Damo. I went on, and none of those things were on there. Did another search, and in the last 24 hours, pretty much every news outlet is reporting the same thing, that they are set to sell your data to third party, and there is a deadline, etc., etc. So Metro, iNews, World Online, Financial Times, The Guardian, Daily Mail, all of them, pretty much the same story. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But you go onto the NHS website, all those myth-busting banners have gone.
Yeah.
The wording has changed in different areas, and you start thinking, hold on. They say we won't sell your data to third parties, but we will do under these conditions. And being in a pandemic is one of them.
Yes.
If you actually read these. So I'll put all the links on the website. The reason I wanted to mention this, put the link on the website so people can go and have a look for themselves and decide whether they want to opt in or opt out. Because I think some people don't even know.
No.
If they are
it isn't advertised a lot, is it?
Yeah, if they're the sensible ones and try not to immerse themselves in the news every day, which I think is probably a healthy thing to do, you wouldn't even know about this.
No.
We get text messages about going for your jabs and all sorts, but they won't send you a thing saying, would you like to understand how your data is being used? And opt out if you don't, blah, blah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they don't want you to do that because they want your data, obviously. Anyway, so I'll put all the links up. The media is saying one thing, the NHS is saying another, and then there's another site called Met Confidential, which has actually got a countdown to when your data will be basically open to third parties.
Yeah. I think they're called something like collaborators. If you look on the NHS app, I think that's the term that's used. And collaborators is basically anyone you're going to do some business with.
And there is your big universities, your Oxfords and your John Hopkins and all those kind of, which do tap into this data. And as we've already touched on, we won't get into this too much, but as you start to dig, you realise these places are funded by corporates and by foundations.
Yes. The other thing as well, I think that's worth pointing out is when I was looking at the NHS app and looking at one or two other things, because the NHS app is likely to become the vehicle for the COVID vaccine passport.
Yeah.
Other information that's going to be stored on there is things like sexuality and mental health conditions.
Yeah.
And this made me, I could never understand this because I couldn't get DBT on the NHS and went private. I had to be assessed by a psychiatrist. And before they would assess me, this is at the Priory, before they would assess me, I had to get a letter from my GP. So I walked into my GP because he had to see me face to face. And he said, why are you here? And I said, because I need to have an assessment by a psychiatrist and I'm paying for it. And I need you to write a letter. And he said, why are you having that? And I said, because I'm troubled.
Yeah.
And he went, what's up? And I went, I'm not really here to share it with you. I'm going to see a psychiatrist. And he went through one or two, you feeling okay then? Mentioned, did I want some medication? Actually said, did I want some medication? And started offering it there and then.
Right, yeah.
And I went, no. And it was antidepressants. Yeah. And I said,
standard, isn't it, for that?
Let's have the assessment first. But basically said, do you want some of these? And then wrote a letter. And I'm thinking, this is what I couldn't understand. So he's typing this into his computer.
Yeah.
And whatever it's going to go is I don't know what he's actually typed in.
No, you don't.
But that now is on my record. Why do I have to go to someone I barely know to ask his permission to pay 400 quid to be assessed by somebody else privately?
That makes sense.
And now that's there. That ain't going to get taken away.
No, you're right.
That record is there forever, isn't it?
That's still the same with any kind of private health. You've still got to get the referral from your GP most of the time. It's a bit odd, isn't it?
But his interpretation of how I presented, because I was probably quite just sign the fucking letter.
Yeah, he has no idea what you've been going through to get to that point.
No. And I've never spoken to anyone in that practice about it. So what I'm saying is those lines that are now going to be sold to someone else.
Yeah.
And I think things like sexuality and other things, because quite often they'll ask you those questions, won't they, on various forms?
They will. And also, there's nowhere on this site you can log in and it finds you. You put your date of birth in, and so I've opted out of the stuff just to kind of see how the process worked. But there's no actual way to to see your own data.
Okay.
You can't just go, would you like to see? It's almost like a freedom of information. There's no way to go, would you like to see
there isn't.
what information we've got on you? I mean, how the hell how can any of us access I can opt out, but I can't even access it myself. It's my data. Arguably, it's my data. It's probably not as the NHS's, but it's about me.
Yes.
So why can't I access it? Why can't I see what they've got?
Because they don't want to see what they've written, because
maybe
it'd be litigation.
Because it's private.
Yeah.
It's weird. I know you like stories about space. This came...
Short ones I like.
Space is a very small subject, so it won't take long.
Yeah.
So
it's not rocket science, is it?
So they've found something new. I thought this would be... This would amuse you. So, new dark matter map reveals cosmic mystery.
Oh, that's a good story.
An international team. This is brilliant. An international team of researchers.
Yeah.
I'm just going, who are they? Is that sounds like Team America World Police, isn't it?
Yeah.
It could be a bunch of right old knobheads. Has created the largest and most detailed map of the distribution of so-called dark matter in the universe. This all sounds fine. They create a map.
Mm.
The results are a surprise because they show that it's slightly smoother and more spread out than current-based theories predict. Fine. This is the bit that got me. The results have been published by the Dark Energy Survey Collaboration. Now, they sound like a hoot.
Yeah.
So, this is it. Dark matter
I'm
is...
listening.
What?
I am listening.
You are on your phone, though.
I'm trying to find the population of Bolton. I can do two things
What's that
at
got to do with
once.
anything?
It doesn't matter. It just came into my head.
I'm going to pause while you finish.
Okay, it
Just
was
the
rude
height
of
of it
me,
is
I
really
accept
rude.
that.
I'm reading this story because your love of space.
I apologise. Carry on.
I'm not going to edit that pause out. I just want everyone to feel what I feel. So dark matter. Dark matter is an invisible substance that permeates space. It accounts for 80% of the matter in the universe. Now, I'm no expert, Mark.
I think I know what you're going to say.
80% of stuff is fucking invisible. They've had a international team of researchers have now mapped something they can't fucking see.
How could you draw something that's invisible?
Exactly. Here you go. Just opening a blank page. There you go. There's my drawing of dark matter. Absolute nonsense. I was livid, honestly.
Yeah, it does seem confusing.
Yeah. Should we get on to small...
139,000, by the way.
What's that got to do with anything?
You know, you were on about NHS data.
A minute ago, yeah.
Matt Hancock stood...
No,
Hancock...
Let's... Go on, let's keep this brief.
This is 30 seconds. When I say 30 seconds,
it's too long. Come on, quick.
20.
Do it.
Matt Hancock, there were some accusations about him telling lies, and he stood up this week and said, if anything, I'm a master to the truth, something like that, as in I can never tell a lie. And then he said, anyway, moving on, I'd like to thank the vaccination programme in Bolton that is hitting tens of thousands every day.
All right.
Which was a lie. In the same breath that he said he didn't tell lies. And that's why I was looking up the population, because he was saying tens of thousands are being vaccinated a day in Bolton. It was like 2,000 to 3,000. The population of Bolton is 139. In a fortnight, everything and every bloody dog in Bolton could have been done.
All the pets, yeah.
All the pets. But it's like, I don't lie, I'm a slave to truth. I'm now going to tell you a lie. It's just comedic.
Right, should we get into work-life ballet? Here we go. So let's explain why this pod is out late, Mark. I'm going to take the listeners through a journey of our world.
Yeah.
So this pod is going out to... We're recording this now, obviously.
Omnipresent means all around.
Yeah.
This is a live recording.
We're always recording and we're always publishing.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've ever put one out the same day. So it's going to be as fresh as it can be.
And it's going to be big ask for you.
Yeah, because I'm trying to keep it short so I don't have spent all afternoon editing it and put it out at night time.
I'll do my best.
Now, some of our lovely listeners may not even notice that we are late today, but I think an explanation is still pertinent.
One has already.
Who?
The client I trained this morning.
Okay. So
Matt,
what?
He was
aware
of its absence.
Sorry, Matt. Okay. I'm surprised I haven't got a letter from Army Captain either, because I don't think he can start his weekend without listening to us.
That's true.
So Wednesday night we got together here to record. I'd explained to you that I'd had a day of two halves when you came in.
Yep.
One half we'll come to in a bit. So I wasn't in a great frame of mind.
No, God, no.
I think it's fair to say that you were far from tip-top as well.
Yeah.
Correct. I didn't actually realise at the time.
I think I was a couple of notches above you, but I wasn't.
Is that good or bad on the scale?
No, up. Yeah, I think I was just slightly
worse, right?
I think I can put a face on.
Yeah, I don't think I could even. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think I can go from tears in the kitchen to smiles in your sitting room.
Right, that's beautiful. So I was already rushing to write some stuff up for the pod and had quite finished. I was running out of time, which didn't help. But what we wanted to do in terms of the content was to capture the themes of our last pod that we talked about, the Great Reset, give them a shakedown, and I guess provide some clarity, closure, and takeaways, as we like to do in our pod, of how to deal with them. And as you said, we've set some hairs running, haven't we? We had. We kind of kept on between recordings, training, talking about these things. So we keep those plates spinning, don't we, during the week? And I think what ended up happening was we got sucked into a vortex of frustration, confusion, astonishment, irrationality, stupidity, lack of common sense. As we went on, I think we just found it harder and harder to catch some of these themes and distill them into anything that kind of made any sense.
Yes.
I think as soon as we caught one and started to unpack it, we very quickly found ourselves down a deeper rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I think you just said before we started recording that what we probably need to get to is out of the rabbit hole and into the fields of the bunnies, right?
I think there was an element also of catastrophication,
Yeah.
and that is something I know I have a tendency to do.
Mm.
And it can be two ways. It can be worrying about events that have never happened and will never happen.
Yeah.
So I create scenarios
Yeah.
and then get upset on fictitious scenarios.
Yeah.
I think what happened on that one is catastrophization around, here's a situation, let's succinctly sum up the history of the world. And it's like,
so easy,
it just became too big. And as the night wore on, we just got crushed, I think.
So as we say in the beginning of every one of our episodes, we're here to make people feel like they aren't alone in all this madness, and not to make sense of it and fix all the madness.
Yeah.
And I think we ended up recording for about an hour and 40 minutes, and in the end we had to call it. And I think I understand now that we had to do that. We had to do what we did to record that, to realise that we'd hit a dead end, and realise that we have to, hold on, we've got to, like I said earlier on, we've got to stop and have a think. Good long look at ourselves.
Yeah, have a reset, so to speak, build better.
Yeah, funny you should say that. I've got that in a minute. But it's important sometimes. You've got to just kind of do it. It's the imperfection stuff. Anyway, the subjects are vast that we're talking about, and there's likely no end, I guess, to the search for truth, if there is any truth at all.
Yeah.
And if there is any truth, it's not likely to align with our narratives anyway. So you could argue, is the whole thing fruitless? Digging into these subjects, whatever subject it is, trying to find out what's really going on and to make sense of it. I think secondly, the volume, frequency and political agendas behind news, sound bites, opinions, guidelines, laws, etc. is too much for anyone. Really, isn't it? And if it doesn't fill your cup, then it's soon going to force it to spill over. I think that can happen very quickly with overwhelm. And I think our anxieties are slightly different, and in that this consumes probably a large amount of your time, some of these things, to me.
Disproportionate.
But I sometimes feel myself doing what you're doing, digging deeper.
And I sometimes feel responsible. I'm dragging you in a little bit. Yeah,
but I guess I'm kind of coming along because I kind of want to know a bit more. And you go, you know what I mean? It's not. I don't necessarily you're dragging me in, but it's quite often a bumpy ride, isn't it? Yeah, because I can set. I'm influenced by that. I think it's just a natural thing. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I think sometimes my tolerance for that is tested. But in a and you've got other demands on your time that I don't have. Yeah, I guess so. Your work pressures are far greater than mine, for example. But I think for me, as well as getting confused by some of this stuff, I feel I have to make sense of it for kind of this and channel it and package it up and package it up into a way that we can present it in a digestible fashion for people to listen to. Yeah. And for us to, if we don't get it or can't find a beginning, a middle, and an end, no one else is going to have hope in hell, are they? And it's hugely complex, endless, and I think impossible, isn't it, to really make an ordered sense out of it. We understand all the time. And in some ways, I think we've mirrored precisely what we're trying to offer an antidote for. An overwhelm of information, polarization, confusion, misinformation, language. Language is huge, isn't it? Agenda, fear, a fear of missing out, fear of being inside. Emotions, relationships, trying to figure out where we as humans fit in a world that we can't actually figure out to start with. Yeah, I think it's a desire to be the rescuer, probably in both of us. I think it's fair, but fix the world before we fix ourselves. Yeah, that feels like, well, let's get our environment right and everything will come. But I think what we're coming to in a minute, which is we need to flip that on its head. It's so easy to kind of lose sight of that. The pants has been a really kind of nice accident of this conversation actually. So get that bit right. Yeah. Get your pants right. Yeah. We could copyright that. I think the main point is we're trying to control something that we can't control before we start to control the things that we can. So we hit a point where thankfully both of us, and which is good that both of us came to this conclusion. Yeah. So I was sitting there just kind of going, I can't do this, and I don't want to upset you. And you went, I think we need to stop. It was good that we both came to the realization we need to kind of work on the things that we can control. Yeah. Otherwise, we're just going to smash ourselves into smithereens. Very quickly, back to the first half of my day on Wednesday, I was presenting to my team. So one of my main themes with them is around patience and encouraging everyone to stop and take a breath. We already touched on it today, but to read a situation and develop the insight to know when and how to stop. We live in a world that's perceivably, I think that's kind of an important word, perceivably, fast moving. You could argue that it probably isn't. But when you stop, take a breath and look around, you realise that nothing is moving that fast, that it disappears over the horizon, you never see it again. You wake up and some of the stuff is still around the next day. Yeah. So you can afford to take that time. I think we're probably pushed into a position where we feel if we don't grab it now, we don't act on it now, it's gone. We've missed a chance. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think that's the case I think the pace of everything makes us feel, I don't think that is actually reality.
I think that, just interrupting on that, something that was going through my mind recently was around communication. If one visualizes something, if I'm visualizing something, I tend to visualize stuff that I can't see, so I then create a picture. So, for example, if I was texting somebody, I create a picture in my mind that person is sitting in a chair texting me, or walking in a field texting me, or if I'm having a discussion with a client. There was a client recently who was going to the chiropractor, and I was wanting to know how it went so that I can plan their next session.
Yeah.
And in my visualization, that person is there on a phone. So I'm asking the question, how did it go? And my visualization that person is walking in a field is going to go, this is what happened, Mark. And I didn't get a reply. And I'm thinking, no, this isn't going to my narrative. That person is there talking to me, and they're not.
And has got the time to invest.
Yeah. And they could be working, they could be driving, they could be doing other things. And I think it's something that often happens in text and communication generally, is that statement, have you gone or come back, becomes something in a text. It's almost, we're having a conversation here, you cannot disappear, which I think is the difference between in the olden days when we spoke to people on the telephone, there was a fixed landline. That's all you could do.
Yeah.
There was no other options.
Yeah, and they're at home.
Yeah. And you know where the phone is, and you're having that conversation when you put the phone down and they do.
Yeah, we talked about it before, the time when you had to go and organise to see someone.
Yeah.
You go, I'll see you tomorrow at 3.
Yes.
If you're there at 3 and they're not there, you give them till 15:15, then you get on with your life.
Yes.
But you don't call them incessantly. You don't have any expectation around.
No, and you could go without a week without hearing from somebody and
so,
still feel you're in touch. And I think that was the bit that I wanted to just chip in there, is that this constant need for now is that because everything is instant, we then think we have to make decisions instantly.
Yeah,
it has to be a quick.
Yeah,
if I don't do this by bedtime, I'm in trouble.
We feel the pressure. It's the text debt, isn't it?
Yes.
You feel like you've got, that builds up. Something happening 10, 15 minutes or even 1-2 days later than planned is rarely terminal, really, unless you're in a life and death situation. But that's a slightly different thing. But generally, an email can wait, a conversation can wait, getting back to someone can wait.
CPR couldn't.
Exactly. Well put.
Horses for courses.
So we've talked this week about what? You enjoying that?
I just like that
you
one.
Enjoy your joke.
Join in, everybody at home.
You're just kind of bathing in it, washing it over you, enjoying that one.
Yeah.
Have a good wallow.
Good.
You finished?
Yeah, done.
We talked this week about this in the context of overwhelm. We feel, for similar and different reasons, actually, often, especially in an overwhelm, doesn't feel like you have any control of your own destiny. Back to the control thing, we feel we don't. Not everyone has someone who can recognise this and help them to find their way. And we've kind of got each other on this.
Yep.
And we've kind of decided to stop and both got to that point. And we both have that relationship where we can probably be quite honest about that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even if someone kind of has the ump about it, we'll kind of... So I think we took a breath, didn't we? And took a very real and practical look at how we can bring some sense, order to our own well-being. This goes back to what you talked about earlier about the balance.
Yeah.
So I think that was missing. So also we started to go, right, let's get back to what we ought to be doing on this, and we're good at doing on this, which is having a bit of a muck about.
Yeah.
Pulling some interesting subjects in. We go, right, well, how can we do something about this? And back to the takeaway stuff. And you started talking this week about self-soothing.
Yeah.
And particularly around 5 senses, which I thought was quite interesting. And you're working on something kind of,
Yeah. I might say a little bit more about that.
Well, I think it really kind of resonated with me this week. You're talking about almost like a framework, which we all kind of need tools, don't we?
Yes.
There's a million books out there. There's a million people coming up with different tools. Sometimes you just have to try stuff out, see if it works, see if it sticks. If it sticks, you keep doing it. But the thing you kind of talked about this week, I wasn't sure where you were on your process of that, but I think this bit that came out about the self-soothing bit, which you said we were going to talk about, I think is really interesting. We touched on at the beginning of the pod about finding something that what really brings joy. The minimalists talk a lot about surrounding yourself with physical things.
Yeah.
So, being a minimalist isn't just about living in a white cube. You can have a lot of possessions, and they would argue that if they bring you joy, why wouldn't you have them?
Yeah.
But you look around at the stuff that doesn't bring you joy, doesn't add any value to your life, then you've really got to question why they're there.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. You just have to, we're all surrounded by crap. Again, stopping, going, right, actually, what does give me joy? What does give me nourishment?
Yeah.
And they can be really small things. We don't have to be fixing the whole thing.
No. And there's going to be people listening here who are going to be raising their eyebrows and going, nothing could sum up Mark more than him thinking that he has the expertise to talk about self-soothing when nearly the whole of his life at the moment is based around self-destruction. There's two ways of looking at it. One is that therefore the fact I have the answer. Go on, quizzical look from you.
Yeah, there was a quizzical. No, but if anyone did think that, I would immediately counter it. Because I think you have those challenges, but I think you work harder than anyone I know to counter those things. You may not feel like you do, maybe because proportionally the things you're working on might feel more overwhelming or disproportionate to you trying to counter them. Does that make sense? But you come to me and go, you're talking about this framework you're kind of trying to develop for yourself. You're working on it. You're not always going to get it right. It's not going to be always taking up as much time as you may need it to move things on. You're one of those people that works really hard at it. You've got your therapy book in front of you, and you kind of you're doing that. You're investing in that. You're doing lots of things. You're not sitting there and you're wallowing in your own jokes. Nothing wrong with that. But you're not wallowing in your own self-pity. There's time for that. There is time for that, and you do that.
So
and you're world champion at that, right? But you do work hard on tools and different when you try stuff. A lot of people find it difficult to do, like go your kingfisher walk, go and try and find those things. Actually, they sound really simple. Well, the king is impossible to bloody see, but you seem to find one. But I think that for an hour, for half an hour, that's I think that's really not many people do. I struggle to do any of that.
Okay, so I take that point, but I think what I would say, again, this is me projecting. I would assume that a number of people are going to be saying the self-soothing that we're going to be talking about, even if I do try and do it, and I do try and be mindful, and I do try and get in certain positions to have dialectic thinking. So if I am thinking the darkest of thoughts, then I will try and take. And the other day, I don't know how, I can't even remember. My memory's bad at the moment. But when I went away for 7 hours to try and save myself.
Yeah.
So you could go, well, you put a lot of effort into that. You knew you were at a position of great risk, and you used every strategy you can. And it took 7 hours, but you did it.
Yeah.
And the other option would have been, catastrophic.
Yeah.
I think the point maybe I'm making is that my need for rescuing other people or other situations, I allow that to constantly undermine my self-soothing. So one of the things, there was a couple of things for this. So I was listening to a very, very short video on YouTube. I'll send the link through to you. And it said in that, and it was done just with sort of like very basic animation. And the woman narrating it said something along the lines of, a lot of people feel that when there's chaos and tragedy and everything around, the idea of being calm and looking after yourself and smelling a candle seems like almost counterproductive. It's like, no, God, there's chaos. I need to be doing stuff. I need to be rescuing people. And it's almost, I think that's what happens, is that if I can find a reason to cause a catastrophe or to self-destruct or to destroy something, I'm still doing that. So what I'm saying is the self-soothing is not enough volume to stop me doing those destructive things.
Yeah, makes sense. And I think also,
I know the strategies, but I'm not, and this came up on therapy on yesterday, big time. I know all the strategies. I can talk the talk, but as my therapist said, you're not always using the right strategy for the right catastrophe. And she said, you've had your foot chopped off. You look for a sticking plaster. Yeah. You should be looking for a doctor.
Foot. Oh, sorry.
Or a new foot. Or,
yeah.
So she said, you're choosing the wrong strategies. So
that's important because it's also about choosing what's right for you. Like I said, there's a million strategies. So there's a million strategies out there.
Yeah.
Again, another overwhelm. Which one's right for me? But there's also I'm just picking one, see if it works. It's a elimination process, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think also, do you find that there's kind of like you got your own stuff to deal with, and if there's an option to help someone else, one, it's a distraction, and two, it kind of fills a little bit of the hole, the rescuing hole. It gives some kind of fulfillment. If we can't do it for ourselves, why wouldn't we do it for someone else if we get something out of that? And in some ways, it's almost like, saying out loud that you've done something tricks your brain into thinking you've done it.
Yes.
It's almost like if I do it for someone else, it's the closest thing I can get to doing it for myself. But I think we need to be, I think we really need to be quite brutal on ourselves, don't we?
Yeah.
Cutting that pod short and putting one now in this morning. It's actually quite, it's felt really healthy. It's a hard thing to do, and it's exhausting. You think, I've got to go.
Yeah.
I've got to build up for that again. And, but I think it's, the good stuff and the right stuff isn't always easy, obviously. We can come on to, which is, what can we start doing?
Yeah.
And hopefully we can build out your your tool set that you're working on out into something, which I think could be something really useful. Just what you've told me about it, I think it can be really effective.
Yeah. I mean,
do you want to talk about your senses?
I can just very, very quickly, the tool set that I'm working on. So journaling's a very big thing at the moment. So I've been looking at some of the things that have been optioned. And obviously, because I go through a lot of mental health stuff on Instagram, my ads are targeted to a lot of that. And what I've seen is that there's been a number of areas of support that have been offered or advertised, whether it's a service or whether it's a product. And there might be, journaling is seen as for BPD as quite a big thing. So putting your thoughts down and recording things that you feel gratitude for or things that you feel positive. And that's the dialectical behavior, that you don't just wallow in your own self-pity, you put, and I've got a lot to be grateful for. But when I see the journals, all that my head says, lovely leather bound books that just have some pages in that have some headings. that
I know.
I can take the back of an envelope and write down what I've got gratitude for.
And I don't want to spend 30 quid on a notebook. It was £5 at Tesco's. Yeah, totally.
And so what happens is they're not actually helping me. I've still got to open that book.
Yeah,
it's those things. So,
but if you're anything like me, I won't want to write in it because it's so beautiful. There is that kind of fear of putting the first mark down on the first page.
Well, this book here, which
especially when you love stationery so much,
400 and whatever pages, has nothing filled in. There's not even meant to be a workbook.
There's no one's not even draw cock and balls in there or anything like we used
and
to
I
do at
won't
school.
fold the pages down on a book.
No, it's immaculate.
Yeah. Point I was going to make was this. I know that part of my self-sabotage is to get rid of frameworks and planning. So I have X number of clients and I have X number of other things to do in my life, like the pod and like therapy and, whatever it might be. And I keep all of that in my head, which is daft. It's not a clever use of time, and it's filling my brain with something that my phone could do for me. So I've just started doing a very small diary, what most people would do of this is what my day is, this is who I'm seeing, this is who I'm training. That's just common sense. And what I realized was that the things that we list, or the things that I'm listing, are events. They're not actions, they're events. So I'm not listing what I'm going to do, I'm listing what's going to happen.
Yes.
So at 7:00, I'm training Damien.
Yeah.
But the action, in my view, I need to layer actions over the event.
Sounds obvious.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
But I don't think, in general, people do that.
No.
So the example...
Or we lose sight of that.
Yes.
Dynamic on that.
So what we do is we end up disregarding the actions and they happen by accident.
Yeah.
So one accident for me is when I have my therapy on a Thursday and I have the group therapy on a Saturday, I have a candle that has one of those wooden wicks that we've talked about.
The noisy ones. Yeah.
Noisy ones. I put that on. Firstly, it helps my tinnitus. Secondly, I associate it. It is calming. It's a good smell. Now, that is a typical example of an action associated with an event that makes the event better. And
you wouldn't ordinarily go meeting at 10.
Turn on candle.
like candle at 10:01.
Yes. But
it sounds a little bit odd, but in the context of what we're talking about, that's actually quite powerful.
Yes.
And associations and habit building, as we talked about, habit stacking that we talked about this week.
Yeah. So it's happened by accident. So all the books around habit stacking are saying, when you do this, do this. When you do this, do this. And they're all good and they make sense. But what I think is missing is the way that the action should be an appointment. I've got an appointment with that candle at 10:01. Do you know what I mean? I'm putting on my laptop. I'm seeing my therapist at 2:00, but at 13:59, lighting candle.
Yeah.
So it's only happening by accident.
It's the difference between busy work and work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your diary can be full. It's like, I haven't got time. It's like, but how much of that is I doing?
Yeah, and it is based on habit stacking. So it isn't new in that sense, but I think the difference for what I'm trying to build is that your timetable for the day includes self-soothing as a matter of course, rather than an additional extra.
Yeah.
Rather than I've had a shit day, I'm going to listen to a nice song. The song or the walk or the candle is integrated into your actions, so it doesn't become an extra, it becomes one and the same. So the example I think I gave to you the other day, when I drove down to the meeting with my trousers on, I'd found a little roll-on of an essential oil, lavender and something. So I rolled that onto my wrist. So when I'm driving, I had a restful smell in the car. No extra time was needed, but if I hadn't put it in my list, the action alongside the event, I wouldn't have done it. And so it then is in my diary as drive to meeting with bank manager plus essential oil, 2:00 therapy plus candle.
Yeah, nice.
And so the idea I'm trying to do...
It's so simple.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's about small steps. It
yeah.
can be...
So where do you get an action that is self-soothing? Where do you get something that is going to build you or help you or support you within your day, rather than having it to be an afterthought that you cram in?
It's great,
Yeah. It isn't just with DBT. DBT does have self-soothe as something, I mean, just looking at it here, around distress tolerance. So there's 6 things here that come under crisis survival skills. So distress tolerance, when I discussed my bad day a little while ago, I had to use distress tolerance to be able to manage my situation. And in that case, I used the right and appropriate strategy, which is something called STOP, which is basically when you're at 99, you can't go to 100. That's too dangerous. So STOP is the right strategy. If I'd done smell the flower, blow the candle, I would have been in a lot of trouble because I would have...
You're in naked flames at that when you're at 99, right?
So STOP, and also something called TIP, which we might go into next time. So these were a couple of strategies that were appropriate, but self-soothe and something called improve the moment, which we can touch on, are also crisis survival skills.
Great.
What we're going to talk about today, and maybe looking practically next time, is how can you integrate those in your life, and how do they look around the 5 main senses? So I was just thinking very, very quickly, when we were sitting down at the start of the pod, you said you had kept the window open a little bit to hear the bird song.
Hear the birds,
Without you saying that, I'd said,
you mentioned the bird.
have you heard that bird song?
Yeah.
When you recognise and you're listening for something and you hear something, I think it was a robin, you sort of get that sort of little buzz of...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, when we were talking about the hormones before going through your body. I think what it is looking for those opportunities rather than shutting them out.
Yeah.
And I think the pants analogy is I reckon this is going to be a book.
I think you're going to have to build the pants into your new strategy.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So one of the things that you just mentioned then, and we'll come into this next week, is that one of the things we were asked to do on my dialectical behavioural therapy was to create a self-soothe box. And we were given it as homework, and we went away, and the following week we were all sitting there. Some people had their box next to them. I had mine on my lap. And the therapist said, does anybody want to share of any of the things and what senses they align to?
Yeah.
And someone said, I've got some essential oils, I've got a candle. Some said, I've got some chocolate, and I've got this. And I'm going, oh, I've got this and this. I'm sitting there.
What did you have in your box, Mark?
Nothing. It was just an empty shoebox that I just grabbed from the hall and just put on my lap. So I just lied the whole time.
Of course you did.
Which is the point I'm saying. I know the strategies, but I was not going to do a self-soothing box.
You're a naughty person in the class, aren't you? The naughty one at the back.
But I
flicking
think
rubbers at people.
I think the time now is right to populate
I think that's really
the
good.
box.
I'm excited about talking about the box of senses.
Yeah.
Definitely. Right, I'm going to have to kick on, okay? But we'll come back to that next week.
Your watch is still working as well. That's good.
Magic mushrooms, I promise, 'cause if I don't do this, we're never going to do this.
Yeah.
My old art teacher of mine, her son was struggling with ADD, I think some kind of a attention deficit, or kind of just struggling with kind of, I guess, sticking out a day's work, just keeping the concentration going. Anyway, I think he was inadvertently, not taking mushrooms for this reason, but took them recreationally and realized that it had snapped him out of that lack of concentration and was suddenly on it at work. Just found another level of concentration, staying power, all that kind of thing. Psilocybin is the active compound in psilocybin mushrooms, known more popularly as magic mushrooms. Psilocybin is the element that triggers the psychedelic effect in a consumer's brain. However, psilocybin is not just found in mushrooms, it can also be synthesized in a number of different ways in a lab setting. In numerous studies, psilocybin has been proven to be effective in treating several mental health disorders and conditions. The use of this can help with conditions like anxiety, opioid withdrawal, seasonal affective disorder, which is sad, isn't it? It's called sad. An attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. And while there are different drugs on the market that can also help with these conditions, not all of them are effective for all people. Current research into psilocybin suggests that it might be more effective than alternative treatments for people who suffer from these conditions. Which is so easy to kind of discard drugs. And there was a program on chronic pain last night, and they said like 43% of our population is struggling from chronic pain, from fibromyalgia to migraines to
arthritis, I guess.
Debilitating stuff.
And
there's one woman, she tried cannabis because the THC and that had bad side effects, but it instantly removed her symptoms. It means she can actually do some simple stuff like making dinner or making a cup of tea, which we all take for granted. So I think it's, historically, culturally, we've all been very quick to jump on, from a judgment perspective, jump on, we shouldn't take drugs, they lead to X, Y, and Z. Be like, it's all there. We've been using it for centuries.
Well, then you look at some of the manufactured drugs that are, inverted commas, acceptable, and they probably put some of the natural remedies in the shade in terms of, what they can do to you.
I don't think I can actually sit here and take them, though, on the pod. I have said before, I definitely kept this in when I was worried about my mum listening. I said I'd happily sit here with a buffet of drugs in front of me and a medical professional on standby and just work my way through it.
I wouldn't do them all in one go.
No,
it's not like a Toby Carvery.
All you can eat, or you can inject or whatever. I don't know. But there's it's easy to have opinions on stuff until you need to try these things, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We might like it.
Yeah. Well, you probably would like it.
Yeah.
I was talking to Matt this morning about addiction, and that's the thing about addiction. Most addictions are fucking lovely. Do you know what I mean? A lot of the time, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. You generally...
Other times, not so much.
You rarely get addicted to something that's awful. I mean, the side effects can be awful, but the highs are so high that they counteract it, don't they? Right, that was a short brain food section, wasn't it?
It was. I'm about to try a new supplement, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
I'm just researching it at the moment before I take it. Ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha, yeah. I'm familiar with that. Our client used to be Pucker Herbs, and they have ashwagandha in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've been reading about it, so I've been using examine.com, which we've mentioned before, and they have they look at basically all the research, put it all together, and then come out with looking at all the research. This is it. And they've looked at the claims and how likely it is to...
What's it going to do for you, Mark? Hope it doesn't mess with your
it does a
angelic complexion.
No, the collagen overrides it. The only trouble with collagen tablets, they're the size of blooming Moses tablets.
Oh, right. like the stone ones.
Correct.
Right, I was thinking, what's that?
Second time I found myself funny. Claim. So it does do. It does a lot of work with cortisol. Helps to the claim. These are the claims. Helps to reduce stress and anxiety. How likely? Likely, medium to strong effect.
Okay.
Reduces depression. Possibly small effect. Improves athletic performance. Possibly small to medium effect.
Right.
Boosts testosterone. Like I need it. Somewhat likely. Reduces fatigue, improves vitality, possibly small effect. Helps with fat loss, inconclusive. Right. Reduces blood sugar, possibly. Prevents, treats cancer, lacking human evidence. Improves...
It's like my space story.
I don't need the last one, but...
You know what I mean? This is science. Probably. Don't know. We're all out on lunch when that experiment was booked in.
That's a summation of research. They're not going to go, yes, without doubt, in all people.
It just sounds vague.
No, I think there's a lot of positive. So I'm...
No, well, yeah.
I'll let you know.
Please do. Got to get on. That's it for this episode. Well done for getting this far, and thanks for listening to us. Give us a follow on Instagram at I'mFinecast, and send your feedback and ideas to imfinecast@gmail.com. In the next episode, well, as we said, we're going to build on your new strategy. I also would like to read a couple of passages from this book I have in front of me.
Okay. Is it a new book?
It's not a new book, but it's by Beth Kempton, and it's called Wabi-sabi, Japanese wisdom for a perfectly imperfect life, which is what we're inspired by, obviously. There's a couple of sections you've talked about. It's bang on. I wrote it down because it was so bang on. Distress. You mentioned distress tolerance.
Yeah.
And there's a section in here which is 10 ways to build resilience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love
and-
that word, resilience.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
And it's essentially, as Wabi-sabi in being perfectly imperfect,
Mhm.
it's understanding that it never will be perfect, and pretty much everything's wonky donkey.
Yeah.
And as
Yeah.
soon as you kind of understand that, you can use it to your advantage.
Mm.
And there's also a thing about set your own pace. So here's a little example. To make progress in the direction of your dreams within the context of your perfectly imperfect life, you will need preparation, dedication, and trust in yourself and in the process. You have to let go of the need to have all the answers for a perfect picture of the future before playing your part in creating it. A Wabi-sabi inspired world gives us permission to feel our way through life, paying less attention to what we think others think or what we think others should do based on what others think, and more attention to what really matters to us. Keep asking questions, keep moving, sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly, depending on the ebb and flow of life.
Mhm.
I'll have a little bit more of that because I think it will tie in nicely to
Mhm.
what we're talking about.
Mm.
We're done.
We are.
I better get on and edit this and get it out box fresh.
Cool.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya.